James Ibori has faulted the Supreme Court's judgment on local government autonomy. According to Ibori, the Supreme Court's ruling undermines the principle of federalism as outlined in Section 162(3) of the 1999 Constitution, which mandates the distribution of funds from the Federation account among federal, state, and local government. He adds that Section 6 requires states maintain a state joint local government account for these allocations. The former governor is of the opinion that this decision challenges true federalism by allowing federal interference in local government administration, a domain traditionally reserved for state control. Ibori stated the implications are significant and wants the decision reviewed to uphold federalism. And so on that effect, we would like to have a conversation to indicate or talk about the implications of this ruling. And to do that, I'm being joined by a legal practitioner, Barrister Joe Nwokedi. Barrister, many thanks for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Let's get started. We've seen critics and also people who's voiced for and against this ruling. But what's your take on it? How would this ruling impact the ability of local governments to generate revenue and become financially sustainable in the long term?
It's a very commendable, judgment from the apex courts. The Supreme Court. It's one judgment that people actually, have their belief and kind of dedication to rule of law monumentally revived, because it has always been the Supreme Court will always give judgments. I don't want to say that will be contrary to people's expectations, or that will usher in a kind of revolutionary development that will touch at the lives of the people. But this particular judgment, they were able to come up with a decision that will usher in something very, very fundamental towards the grassroots developments in Nigeria. Like what you rightly said about former governor of Delta State criticizing the judgment of the Supreme Court. Anyway, he's not a lawyer. He's not a lawyer to know what constituted the bulk of evidence and everything and arguments that transpired at apex court that made the court to arrive at that decision. He was also a party. So for me, for a Supreme Court to look at the issues canvassed before the court,
right,
look at arguments of the lawyers and come up with that decision that will now enable the local governments to become viable, to become
Barrister Nwokedi, I hate to cut you, but he talked about the implications, and he said that the implications are significant and he wants the decision reviewed to uphold federalism. And when we think about federalism in and of itself, with this ruling, let's look at the political implications of this ruling for state governors and their relationships with local government officials.
Local government is not an execution of the state government. We have three tiers of government. We have the federal government at the center, we have the state governments, and we have the local governments. They are to have a certain level of autonomy, a certain level of independence, and a certain level of capacity to execute their projects, take care of issues surrounding their own defined territories, and then exercise authority as enshrined in the Constitution. They are not an annexation of the state government. State government, for over the years, have actually been muzzling the powers of the local governments, and it has, by so doing, deprived the masses, the real people that ought to benefit from local government, that opportunity of filling government at the grassroots. They don't spend the money, accruing into the account, from federation account, for them. The state governments would find a way to meddle with the money, confiscate the money, seize the money, hold on to the money, and begin to give them as they wish. They dissolve them at will. They form caretaker committees and put people they want at local government to do whatever they like. So at a point, local government are supposed to be an independent arm of the government at the state level, just like the way the state government is independent of the government at the center. That suddenly became an extension of the state governments. And now you look at what certain developments that also come to the people, like culverts, like filling of potholes, like certain things, all these minor issues, like street roads and all these things. They fall within the constitutional powers of the local government to do. But you don't see them doing that. refuse some certain medical health care, so many things that local government, we call it county in UK, do, within the people inhabiting that local government. We don't see them happening here because they are incapacitated. They are stifled of their powers to exercise all these constitutional powers enshrined in the Constitution and conferred on them. So now what the governors now do, they muzzle their funds. You see some of them conducting the election at the tail end of their administration. And then we'll be blaming the local government. We don't even have a local government in Nigeria. What we have are like some of them, when they even pay them, they pay them money in papers, and in the real sense, they deduct money from what they pay them.
Now, let me ask about...
It's a commendable development.
Commendable,
Yes.
as you said. But how would this decision affect the distribution of power and resources between state and local governments in the future? I know we've said they need this, local government need this in enacting, projects and making sure that local government or their constituencies are being covered in terms of infrastructure and developments and all daring. But we've also seen that even at state level and federal level, there's still a lot that needs to be done. Would this in any way aid in resources or aid in infrastructural development, or would this,
retard it? No, for me to aid. Now people will be like holding the local government chairman accountable. I know for a fact that issues came up in one platform where I'm also a member regarding the inability of the chairman of that local government to take care of certain projects. People actually had their shops burnt down and things like that in the local community. They beckoned on the local government chairman to come to their aid. Of course, he couldn't do anything. He was like, well, there was no money, earmarked for this. And state government couldn't come to do that because one that took place in a remote village, that shops within a place got burnt. The government will have come to their aid, at least rebuild the shop for them, or at least come to do something to show that this is government at the grassroots. The state government is so big to take care of those issues at that level. But what they do now, they muzzle the funds that's supposed to accrue to local governments to do all these things. Now, politically, it is a welcome development because now we can hold local governments accountable. We know the amount of money accruable to each local government. We can now go to them to demand accountability. What are they using these monies to do? What projects have they executed? What have they done? Like old people people above 80, they're supposed to be giving them some grants. But they don't do all these things. They don't even, database of people within the local communities, and it will even cure this issue of insecurity and the rest of them. Because local government will be able to guide the people, have money to take care of people, have money to have data of the people, have money to know the needs of the people, and all these things. States don't do that. Before you attract a commissioner of a state to your local community, you know what it will take you? For a commissioner to come down to look at something before governor will now become aware of that. Let them give the local government powers. Let us now hold them accountable, know the amount of money accruing to them, then call for accountability and all that. So then local government will, because they generate now, let them be elected. So their sovereignty will also come from the people. It's not being like, you make them as a stooge.
Right.
I know when we were growing up, it wasn't that way.
Right.
I knew so many things that local governments were able to do at that point in time. But now it has been, it's like almost an appointed position. The governor can decide at any time, dissolve it, and then appoint other people, dissolve it. Some of them will have a project. I know one of them that had a project that he was executing, very, very commendable, touching the lives of the people. Before you know it, governor dissolved the whole local government.
Okay.
And then that guy couldn't come back. A situation where a local government cannot even determine how long he will last in office. It's very laughable.
Yeah, Barrister, but I have to let you go. But thank you so much for doing this with us. We appreciate you for doing this. Barrister Joe Nwokedi is a legal practitioner.